Today we'll talk about the box office here, and today we'll talk about the two big movies of the week. So box office, there's something about In the Heights. That's the one of the big. That's one of the two big movies of the week. So the other movie is Peter Rabbit, which is gonna be competing with, yeah, Spirit, and according to this, the movie is projected to gross 20 million, which you know, generate around 20 million, but it indicated track as could range between 16 million to 30 million. In its first 4 days of release, Enter Heights again jump on the weekend opening. And yeah, this is another big movie. It's made by the creators of Crazy Rich Asians. So this movie is gonna probably have more better. It's gonna be more of a reggae type movie. It's because it's not a blockbuster. It's gonna be one of those movies that has a word of mouth. Because yeah, it's gonna be one of those types of movies. It's gonna be one of those movies where it does open like 20 to 40 million. Crazy Rich Asians open at like 30 million. It still grows like a lot of money. Several movies I think will be comparable, like Hidden Figures and Get Out. Two other movies that only that opened like 30 to 40 million, but still managed to gross like far more money than a standard movie will have grosses would have been 100 to 120 million, a standard blockbuster. Or even 90 million, like Turds of Prey did, or 80 million, like Turds of Prey did. Okay, but Crazy Rich Asians, the filmmaker In the Heights, is $55 million budget as well, and it will probably make back its money. Then we have Peter Rabbit, which they'll probably underestimate this movie's success. They'll probably underestimate this movie, but some estimates he could gross $13 million. The first movie has always made basically the same amount of money it took to produce already worldwide. And this movie was overperforming in the UK, and now the box office is saying, "Oh, this movie's gonna flop." Like that's basically what they're saying here. Peter Rabbit 2 is gonna flop because the critics didn't like it. Okay, again it is competing with Spirit 2, and yeah, this is the top domestic openings here, and yet Quiet Place, Cruella, Conjuring was fourth. So, and this is not gonna be a big weekend. I know it. I think it's gonna go similar to Tom and Jerry, or Includes You 8. I think that those are pretty good comparisons for Peter Rabbit too. Actually, 14 million, which is very similar to. I think those are pretty good comparisons. 14 million. So my expectations for Peter Rabbit will be around 14. I think 20 million was my original prediction for Peter Rabbit. In the Heights, I've said both movies will probably gross a similar amount of grosses. But again, I think Spirit's gonna probably just gonna become forgotten. Everybody's gonna be watching Peter Rabbit, which is gonna be pretty bad for that movie, but pretty good for Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit's gonna probably make back its money at the end alongside In the Heights. So we're gonna have two box office successes this weekend. Conjuring's gonna probably continue. It's gonna probably go into the money making as well. Quiet Place will probably be a box office success as well. And yeah, we have to really wait until what happens during the weekend, see what happens during the Thursday previews. Today's Thursday. You have the latest tallies, and Spirit Untamed is doing okay on Wednesday. We had Spirit, which is not doing too well at the box office, which isn't surprising. It actually is doing abysmally internationally. So Spirit's gonna probably be a box office flop. We're gonna see how it does well internationally over the next couple of weeks. If it does poorly and continue to do poorly internationally, I think it's gonna be a big box office failure. Okay, from DreamWorks. Which DreamWorks, of course, is not immune to box office failures. The first movie was, of course, a box office failure as well. But again, I think people just don't want to see the same story again. I think that's why Spirit is doing this poorly. Is because people don't want to see the TV show of Spirit be regurgitated into a movie, which I think nobody wants to see, which is why it's not doing well. Okay, yeah, even Cruella is more original than Spirit Untamed, which is basically the regurgitation of the TV show and put into a $40 million production. Yeah. And yeah, Conjuring's gonna probably make back it. Even Cruella is probably gonna make back its money worldwide because it's doing okay. It had an okay fun day in China. Yeah, the movie actually has made $111 million, and that's mostly Chinese gross there. So sadly, yes, Cruella will probably make back its money at the end of its box office run. Of course, that will of course include the, my projected 40 million to 50 million from Disney Plus, which is gonna probably make, well, the 50 million dollars on Disney Plus. So, which is of course from Samba TV, which that was, and someone said 3 million. I don't know where they got 3 million people watched the movie. I think 600,000 is much more likely of a gross. But again, if Cruella continues having the word of mouth from Disney fans saying, "Oh my God, it's Disney 10 out of 10, watch the movie." Okay, and next weekend we only have Hitman's Wife's Bodyguards. Again, the critics hate that. I think the critics hate that movie, but they didn't like the first one, so it's not surprising at all, as well. So I think the first big blockbuster is Fast 9, which is at the end of this month. So yeah, there we go about this here, and yeah, predicting the box office bombs. You can't really see Whooper as a good source on that, but I think G.I. Joe will probably flop. Okay, and West does like extremely well in China. I think that China could be the saving grace for G.I. Joe, because China likes those types of ninja movies. No, it's Japan that likes those types of movies. China likes the kung fu movies. But yeah, it's finally about time that Disney actually has a box office. It's about Disney's finally gonna have a box office success after all this time. Okay, because Raya flopped, Mulan flopped. Okay, yeah, Artemis Fowl was gonna flop. Okay, Disney. And I said Cruella. I said I was going to dictate. I was Cruella might actually not be a flop if China saves it at the box office. And we're gonna go to China's box office here. Here you have box office group China. Here, daily box office in China. Yeah, Cruella is the number one movie in China and made $6 million in that country. Being out Fast and the Furious. This is the Chinese box office. This is today. Yeah, so yeah, we have the Chinese box office here. Quiet Place. Quiet Place is actually doing pretty well for a horror movie in that country. It's doing pretty well. Stand By Me, Doraemon, White Snake, another. That's why there's another White Snake movie inside. Wrath of Man. That movie is, I think, kind of end of its run. And of course, Cruella is going to finally be on a first actual weekend of the movie, and we're going to see how well it performs on its first weekend. But Fast 9 of 209 million, that's still pretty huge. Fast 9, I think will probably be a box office success regardless as well, because the movie has a $250 million internationally in like 3 markets, and most of that is of course China and South Korea. But it's not even released in Europe. It's not even released in America, Canada. It's not released in Latin America, other big markets. So the movie is not doing that great in China as other movies, but it still beat Hobbs and Shaw in China. So yeah, we also have the Wong Wings box office, which they want you to pay for that, which is completely stupid that they want you to pay for that. But F9 passes $350 million internationally, and we can look at the budget for F9. I'm actually going to look up the budget for Cruella again. Okay. I think it's around $200 million. And the movie passes $250 million at the box office. And that's $261.7 million at the box office. And I think it'll probably gross to $100 to $150 million, $150 million domestically. So add the domestic totals, that's already broke even. And that's not excluding that's not even including the European totals as well. I think it only released in Russia, but I'm actually gonna see F9. IMDb release date. I can see if it released in Russia now. Okay, it released in Egypt. So yeah, it released in Russia. It released in Egypt, Georgia, South Korea, Hong Kong, Kuwait, Russia, Saudi Arabia. South Korea, United Arab Emirates, Croatia, China, and Lebanon. The next release is in 7 days in Australia, Czech Republic, and Slovakia, and Bulgaria. And it's released in the bulk of the countries on the same day as USA. And of course, it's not going to be released in the last market. Freaking Germany and 2022 internet. Germany is a bunch of wussies. But as well. And I could go over Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit could be one movie. We could go over Peter Rabbit and In the Heights. So In the Heights could probably rely on domestic box office as well. But Peter Rabbit 2 is gonna be another movie, it's gonna probably grow similar to it's gonna probably outgrow Tom and Jerry, which will be pretty good. But yeah, it's been out in the international markets for a while. But with America, it's also releasing tomorrow in China, Hungary, no, not Hungary. I released today in Hungary and Denmark, and yesterday in the Netherlands. So it's still releasing a ton of markets. It's releasing in Canada alongside us, is alongside America, Lithuania, Latvia, Taiwan, Romania. It also has not yet released in countries like Argentina, Japan, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, and Turkey. So it's far from over for Peter Rabbit, and now we're gonna go over In the Heights. I was like, yeah. Cruella has a Chinese release date, which I think is gonna probably save the movie from towering from a complete failure. Yeah, and yeah, In the Heights is not releasing in many markets. It's coming out in Indonesia, Iceland, Portugal, Canada, Finland, USA, Brazil. I think it's based in Mexico. The movie is based around Mexico, so it should do well in Mexico and Brazil. I think it should do well in those countries because it's about In the Heights is about Latin America, and I think it's gonna do pretty well there. The budget's around $55 million. And I'm gonna look up the Cruella budget. I said $100 million, but it might have changed. The budget is anywhere. They don't even have a freaking budget for the movie. Wikipedia. Yeah, 100 200 million. If it's $200 million budget, the movie is freaking flop. It's not. It's flop. But they don't even have a freaking budget for this movie. It says anywhere from 100. They don't even have a budget for the movie. That's just hilarious. They don't even have a budget. But yeah, according to Scott Mendelson, it's around $100 million. But if the budget is really around $200 million, yeah, Cruella is a flop. It's another Disney flop. So we can laugh at Cruella if its budget is $200 million budget. But I was using the $100 million budget for Cruella. But we don't even have the full budget for the movie because Disney has not released that data. Because of course Disney's not gonna release that data because they're gonna try to make the movie's doing pretty well. But with the budget is $200 million, they're gonna have to make like 100. They're gonna have to make like 400 to $500 million to break even. They already have to make like 100 to 200 $300 million to break even. $300 million is the high end, and I think that Cruella will barely pass $200 million worldwide. Okay. And yeah, it's doing all right in China, but it's not gonna open that well in China. That's gonna probably be like $40 million there. So plus $40 million from China and around $50 million from the main markets, that's barely passing the worldwide box office. Because it seems that international audiences do not give a crap about Cruella, and and America definitely does not give a crap about Cruella. Okay, so this movie is if the budget is $200 million what someone says that having seen the movie, it's a much more believable $200 million. So the movie budget is $200 million. That isn't how $200 million flop for Disney, just like Mulan is. But again, we don't know the true budget for the movie. Even Wikipedia doesn't have a true budget for the movie. So I think when more data comes out about the budget, we can really decide this movie's fate as a movie. But yeah, there we go about Cruella's budget, which is completely unknown at the moment. Like Peter Rabbit, I think. Let's use a comparison. Peter Rabbit 2 budget is around $45 million, so it's gonna probably make back its money. Which will probably mean we'll get a third one. We'll probably get a third Peter Rabbit because that's it's gonna probably make. I think I think they underestimated the first Peter Rabbit too. I think they underestimated the first one, but again, it goes to doing really well in the UK because again, Peter Rabbit is a British story. It is a British story, so of course British people are going to love it, and they're gonna. It's probably where most of the box office for the movie is coming from, and right now, is from the United Kingdom, and it probably made like 1/4 of its box office is probably from the United Kingdom. Okay, yeah, they have the United Kingdom, $17 million, and Australia is also $17 million. So UK and Australia doing pretty well now. And yeah, it seems that in Australia it's faking out in Australia, but in the UK, but again that was when the pandemic was much worse. For Peter Rabbit, again, they only had they could probably continue updating that as well. Russia, as well, they could probably continue updating that Russian box office. And now I'll go to yeah, I think Infinite released on VOD. We'll also talk about Infinite's worldwide box office because it's still releasing some movie and markets here, but yeah. And of course, the numbers is pretty much behind in the box office. Especially, I think it's just the Chinese box office they're behind in, basically. Oh, it only made 3 million. That's abysmal then. But yeah, they have not updated the international box office for some countries. For Cruella, it's actually on 110 million worldwide. But if the budget is $200 million, we're probably discussing the longer length. Which that means that comparison for Rita is probably the best one because both movies. And even then, Rita had a small budget than Cruella and still made far more money. Which means, yes, if Cruella, yeah, again, we don't know the budget for Cruella, okay? We don't know the budget for the movie, so we can't really determine if it's a flop or not. Which is the really hard part, but we have this comparison between Rita, you know, and it's doing better than Rita, but Rita has like a $20 million lead. Which I just could put Doolittle, which is the best comparison for this movie, I think, out of all of the movies that they released because Doolittle had a similar budget to Cruella. And Cruella is actually beating Doolittle. It's actually beating Doolittle at the box office. So it might actually could rig out possibly $200 million domestically. But I think at the end of the day, it'll probably goes between Alita and Doolittle. It's not gonna rig out to $100 million like Maleficent somehow did. Maleficent somehow grossed $100 million, but we can compare it to Maleficent. It actually is even outgrossing Maleficent as well. So obviously Disney's using the dark magic here to somehow make the movies do better than they thought they did, than people thought they did. But even then, Cruella is still only open to 46 million, and I don't think Cruella has a chance of passing $100 million at the slightest. It'll probably barely pass $100 million as well. Yeah, we have Godzilla vs. Kong. Could Godzilla vs. Kong pass $100 at domestic box office? I think that's very unlikely at this moment. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong will probably end up at one of those movies, or I think Warner Bros. Will try to keep it as long as they can to make sure this movie passes $100 million at the box office. Okay, but yeah, Quiet Place, we have the box office, it's doing actually not that well compared to the first movie. Not that well, which we have the comparison for Cruella, not Cruella, but Quiet Place. Yeah. Yeah, it's doing far worse than the first movie now. It's doing far worse. It's not that bad. It's not doing bad at the box office. I'm not saying that. Or actually, now the budget has been moved to $61 million. $61 million. Yeah, they made it more like a blockbuster production in this movie, obviously. But $61 million means it needs to make $120 to $130 million. Which already passed $140 million worldwide. It'll probably continue making money worldwide. So. And yeah, even made some money in China. So, yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, the next movie I think we're going to talk about is Spirit. No, I don't think we're going to talk about Spirit. Yeah, we're going to talk about Spirit. Okay, Spirit. But it's not even on the trending movies, which is funny. Yeah, it's doing abysmal. Not surprising. It's based off a movie. It's basically a regurgitation of an old movie or old TV show, and it's doing abysmally at the box office. No shocker there. It's doing even worse than Highway Olympic and Dog Days. Actually, it made 47 million. That's good part. Yeah, it's doing far worse than that movie, but there's no real good comparisons. I've even why I think did better than this movie. It had better weekend legs. Yeah, it's doing worse than Wire. So, and I think unlike Wire, which because there are no other movies releasing, it's gonna probably bottom out at 20 million at the highest. So yeah, it's a pretty sad day for Spirit. $40 million budget, box office failure. Wire, $150 million budget, also a box office failure. So animated movies are not doing well at the box office. They're not doing well at the box office. So I think the animation curse is continuing, which is a sad thing for Hollywood. The animation curse is still continuing from 2019 to 2020, because if you look at a lot of movies that were not Disney movies, of course, a lot of animated movies are bombing and flopping at the box office, which is pretty sad. Like movies like Abominable flopped. Everybody loved Abominable, but the movie still flopped and bombed at the box office. Same thing with Wire. Nobody watched it. So I think this is gonna be pretty bad for the future of animated movies. Maybe that's why Disney made movies like Soul and, movies like Soul came out on streaming, and Luca. Both movies coming out only on streaming, because I think Disney doesn't want to have what happened with Raya, and the Fetus. Because I think that's what Disney was going to face. It always made 16 pounds. What was it released? Romania. It's always been out in Romania for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, Luca will have been a box office failure. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Same thing with Soul. Both those movies, which I think Soul will probably made money in a normal box office scenario. But Luca will probably just bomb, because if you look at the trailers, it just looks like a generic, it looks like that Pixar want, what, let's make our own version of Little Mermaid and Aquaman, and make it, it's just like, did we really need that? Pixar, like, really? I know it's they can say it's original, but it is very similar to another Disney movie, A Little Mermaid, and I think that's gonna confuse a lot of people as well. So yeah, Luca, I think there was gonna be no hope for that movie anyways. And yeah, the Blu-ray sales, they have not updated this in a while. So yeah, I think they need to update this very soon. So that's basically it. Goodbye.